Is that how you describe your music? Algorithmic? Is that how you do it?
Some of my music is algorithmic, or let's say I use a lot of algorithmic processes to get materials that I make my music with. Yeah.
What's the background, the history of what you do?
Beat forwards.
Does it go back to Dada?
Well, actually, the earliest example, well, the earliest example I can find is St. Augustine, where he, about the 3rd century, where he describes the Greek rhythmic modes and a way of making ancient Greek rhythms that, it's sort of like a machine for making rhythmic progressions. The next thing I see is Athanasius Kircher, about 1654, made a composing machine, which was a wooden box with a whole bunch of little slits in them, and you pulled the slits up to various heights and read across, and you got your motet melodies. It goes on from there.
Wow.
So yeah, Dada is like a recent development. Yes. Another one, one hates to get too classical about this, but another one is the whole Baroque era and its 4-part chorale writing thing is a big machine. Bach is only one example of that. Mozart in 1780-something wrote a little satirical piece called An Introduction to the Composition of Country Waltzes by Means of Dice. And he provided, I think it was like 50 or 60 phrases, and you threw the dice and you pasted the phrases together, and then you made country dances. And they're perfectly acceptable country dances.
It's like the Rolling Stones cut and drop method for composing.
Yeah. And it goes on and on from there. There is a real flourishing of the stuff in the early 50s. There's a whole renewed interest in what's called process composition. Whether it's the serialists or people like John Cage, or 10 years, 15 years later, the minimalists working out very simple repeating patterns. Yes, there's been a lot of work in what's called algorithmic composition. And it's funny, in hindsight, for example, someone like John Cage, that a lot of the visual arts world portrays as a, sort of a happy Dadaist. I actually look back on him and go, oh no, he's the father of very serious computer music composition. If you look at the processes by which he put his pieces together, each one of them is a completely unique algorithm that can be encapsulated in a program. And in fact, Williams' mix, which was the big tape collage that they did in 1952, which took them 6 months to work out, I mean, chop, chop, chop with the tape. Larry Austin, composer in America, who's about 75 now, actually a few years ago put Williams' mix into a program with the original Cage library. So now you can just hit a button and get your own version of Williams' mix composed according to the rules by which they did it. Which apparently Cage was delighted at. So it goes on from there. And the most recent thing we've been doing is intensely working at learning enough mathematics to program a whole library of fractals. Because they produce semi-random patterns that are different than what you can give with a random number generator.
Well, I hear rap is done to the rhythmics of 4-letter words.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
I mean, I'm a virgin for this, but to me it sounds like a fusion between academic rap and epileptic rap with a touch of synth dance and Yiddish geriatrism.
Yiddish geriatrism, that's the important bit. Yeah. Especially if we're dealing with Car 54, Where Are You? Which is nothing but old line 1930s Jewish comedy, filmed in black and white with 2 classic Yiddish actors.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I mean, like it's like the 1930s.
Sound-wise, the closest music that I've listened to that is closest to something by Nat Rorem, perhaps?
Well, the harmonies at least, though.
Yeah.
Drums. Yeah, when I found out that 54 had that in it, it was like, oh, can't I get anything more interesting? Nah. Okay, that's what we're living with, is if you're going to follow the rules, you got to live with what they give you, and what they give you is... So I'm a softie, and I say, hey, I'll live with that chord. It's a nice chord for a Saturday afternoon.
It's a Gothic afternoon.
Yeah. And as you were coming in, and once people start milling around again, I will, in fact, I'll start it now. just to continue the 54 theme, this is Beethoven's Opus 54, his Piano Sonata 22, and Shostakovich's Sixth Symphony, his Opus 54. And I've got a little computer program, in fact using ArtWonk, that is cutting them up and giving you phrases of 2 beats, 3 beats, 6 beats, 9 beats, 18 beats, and 27 beats. So, unfortunately not using fractals, just using a simple random number generator for this one. But yeah, we've got a little collage just for background music, which is again on 54. So yeah, the whole thing is formalist takes on 54. I'm not sure. Using real-world stuff like Beethoven and Shostakovich as opposed to fictitious stuff like Car 54, Where Are You? That might be getting a bit too close to being objective as opposed to non-objective. But we'll live with it.